All right, this is the 3D printing process for the Triclops Skull. This is easily one of the most uniquely shaped items that I've printed thus far. I mean, especially for TTGS, and and so more than like the weirdness in the process itself, just kind of how cool it was watching this thing get made. Just because it's such an odd shape. Most of the things you've seen me do so far have been, nice and tidy and square, or, perfectly shaped, because it's something I whipped together in Tinkercad myself, where this is not. And like I mentioned before, this is an actual scan of someone's skull that's been converted to a 3D file and then modified. So expect to see some really kind of weird but cool stuff, at least I think it is, as we go through this. This is the application of the very first layer. And you can see here this grid network is support material. I probably didn't need 80% of the support material that ended up on the skull, but I don't have a whole lot of control. I can basically turn it on or off, and then after that I have to fine tune things individually, like the angle steepness, to determine whether or not it gets support material or not. And I have messed with those before, but just in general, I'd rather just have the support material there, just to make sure. And as you'll see as this thing goes, the reason, even if it wasn't necessary, the reason that I decided to go with it will become pretty clear. So anyway, first layer, everything was applying really fine. Like I said, this is the support material, and you can see that base that I added to the bottom of it in Tinkercad. So this is like the second or third layer, so you can see how it actually laid out, and the extruder head is a little further back, so you can kind of see along the back, and how the support material built up for the back of the skull. Okay, so this is obviously into it a bit of a way, and you can see, and this is I want to say a problem, but it wasn't really. This threading, or the drag lines, or whatever terminology you want to use for it, because I'm guessing there are a couple of culprits here. One being, I probably had the temperature for this plastic a little bit higher than it needed to be. So when it does the extrudes, it can't do it as efficiently because the plastic is softer than is ideal. But then, if you'll notice, it only really, where it happens worse, and you'll see here as it progresses that it's not just there, but it's in low priority areas. So like you can see where, in the support material, it's pretty rough. But the outer line of the skull, and all of the, the parts that are visible on the skull, doesn't have this problem at all. So one thing I did kind of find odd was this little spot right here. I have no idea why the printer mapped out this area. It is just infill underneath, and it is just infill above, as you'll see here in the next picture or two. So this is an anomaly. I mean, it doesn't affect anything, it's fine, but I just thought it was bizarre that it was there. I chalk it up to just the oddity of bone structure. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, and then you can see here some of the additional, just kind of, I don't know, cool factor from it actually being a real skull. So you get to see all these little bones forming along the sides of the skull itself. So this picture and the one after it, you can see, like, I want to think that that's like the top of the jawbone, and as it fits into the what is it? I can't remember what bone it's called. Sorry, I'm a builder, not a scientist. But and then you can see, you know, this is the same on the other side, and it isn't quite there yet. Just really, really cool. Yeah, so here's a better view, so you can kind of see down it a little more how the bone formed. It was, I don't know, it was really neat. So here is another issues with that threading. You can kind of see it in here, and then I took a better picture here so you can see it. Now, if you look at the outside line, everything is perfect. And then in this lower priority area, like the support material on the outside, inside the infill where, you know, nobody's ever going to see it unless they cut it open, you see a lot more of this threading too. And like I said, I could reduce that by cutting down the temperature on the extruder a little bit, but you know, I mean, considering how in general it is looking really good, I wasn't too worried about it, but I did want to take note of it here because this is kind of like a, you know, in an ideal situation, like on the perfect print, you wouldn't have that threading going on. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. But yeah, so as we, you know, progress on, you can see how, like, it didn't stay forever. Like, you know, now this area here, the infill looks just fine, but now we're getting a little bit over here. I do not know what to attribute it to, nor am I, like I said, nor am I worried about it, because it doesn't affect the structure of it, and the outside, as you will see later, turned out really, really well. So, yeah, I just, okay, so here is the actual bottom of the little trench I put in it, for, you know, putting what's going to be put in there, and I really like how this picture turned out, because this, you know, the shape of it here, doesn't it kind of remind you of, and I'm going to be a terrible gamer because I can't remember what they're called, but the little like octopusy things in Super Mario Brothers in the underwater levels, or, you know, maybe one of those brain things from Metroid. I don't know. Either way, I really enjoy the shape, kind of like a weird, you know, cartoony, jellyfishy kind of thing. And so the main reason I took this, aside from getting the first layer, because you can see how, you know, it didn't get perfect along here because it was just extruding and stopping into open air, and so that plastic was kind of receding. As you'll see, it ends up not being a problem, but I wanted to make sure that I got a picture of that, and just because that shape is just great. So yeah, see here, once we get the trench actually going, pay no mind to that. That is reflection off of the extruder head, so it was nothing to worry about. But you can see the trenches come in fine, and actually the sidewall here is where that little area where it was dipping in the previous picture. I'll just kind of, for comparison's sake, like see right along the end, and then that's where the wall is. And like I said, there weren't any issues. And then so you can see here, like these are the tops of the eye sockets, and then the support material, or the infill material, being built up over the top of it. So once I got the face clear, I wanted to include a picture of it, so that you could kind of see what I was seeing as it built up. Obviously with the support material and the way, you don't get to see everything, but I still think the way that it formed and ended up was really, really cool. And then of course the trench gets deeper and deeper as it builds up. And I think, yeah, so this here was the last picture I took. I was unable to get back here to take more pictures before the print ended, but some of the things of note here is you can see the layer lines and stuff, and the reason why I included this picture especially is because, you know, really close up where you can really see those lines is really cool. I mean, like when you're holding it in your hand, you don't even see those. You can feel them, but you can't see them. And anyway, yeah, so I was really impressed with how it turned out. And next will be a little video of me removing all of the support material, so we can get on to finishing it. Here we go. So this is the skull fresh off of the print bed. And you can see what it looks like with all the support material all around. And then, yeah, I mean, basically I just go about taking it off. So I found the best tools for removing support material are your hands, and of course, and then anything that you can't get with your hands. I've really been enjoying this combination of tweezers and X-Acto knife. The X-Acto knife works really well because depending on the print, you can get support material that clings really, really heavily. And so having that X-Acto knife on hand will help you cut off the little nibs that are attached to get with the tweezers. And then, of course, tweezers give you, like a little bit of prying ability and grabbing where you can't get them otherwise. So actually, right there, I just broke my tweezers trying to pick something out of the nasal cavity. And so, yeah, so you can see I have to try and straighten them so I can use them to finish up. Yeah, no, it gives you a really good degree of control between these two tools to get all the little nibs and nips. Yeah, see, there's my broken tweezers, and then the skull. It just turned out really, really well. So, yeah, we'll take it to get it waterproofed now. I'm using Thompson's water seal. Holly intends to put plants in it, so I wanted to make sure that it was gonna, survive a long time, because PLA isn't exactly a super durable plastic, so I figured a little bit of waterproofing would help. I had no idea that this stuff was as thin as it is. So yeah, you can see kind of the mess I made there. But yeah, it had to dry for a while, but then we'll come back and see how it looks when it's done. After making a horrible, horrible mess of the waterproofing, obviously you can see I got it all covered, and then I let it sit, and so here is the finished product. It's got a little bit more shine to it than it did before. That's from the waterproofing. Yeah, I mean, I think it turned out really, really good. It's what she wanted, exactly the way she wants it. So I'm pretty pleased with it, and here in the next couple of days, as of shooting this, I'll make sure she gets it, and maybe I can get a picture of her from her with whatever she's going to be exactly doing with this, because I know there's plants going in there, but I don't know what they look like or anything. So so maybe I can get a picture of her from her with it in the way that it's supposed to be, and I will put that on the Patreon page at some point. So yeah, I mean, this was a pretty simple project, but at the same time it was really, really fun. As I like to end all of these, I like to say what I learned, and in this, honestly, I learned most importantly exactly how versatile Tinkercad can be for being such a simple program. I mean, you saw at the very beginning what I was able to do, and I was able to do everything. I got to give it a good, ground to a foundation to stand itself on. I had no problems getting our little opening in here going. It gave, I had everything that I needed to make sure that it wasn't poking through anywhere. So I'm super, super impressed with Tinkercad. Like, the more I use it, the more I want to use it. So yeah, anybody doing, simple design stuff or simple alteration stuff, I cannot recommend it enough. Secondly, I'd never used Thompson waterproofing before, and so I had no idea that it was as thin as water when you applied it, and that's why I ended up making such a horrible mess when I was doing the waterproofing. I'm used to like paint-on applications that are a little thicker. So I mean, I love the convenience of having it in the spray can, and from everything that I read online when I researched whether or not it would work. It's got good reviews, so I have no doubts that it will do its job. But next time I use it, hopefully I won't make such a mess. Yeah, a short list of what I learned, but considering how really kind of easy this project was, I don't know. I did learn stuff. It was great, and like I said, I got what she wanted, and hopefully she enjoys it. So anyway, that'll be it for the Skull Planter commission. So yeah, well, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing next, so stay tuned. Okay, so I almost considered just adding these pictures in to my conclusion, but I don't know, I enjoyed them so much I wanted to say a little bit about them too. So this is the first picture she sent me, with obviously some plants in there, and it looks so awesome. And then so she sent me a couple pictures, this one and then a close-up of it, so you could see just how well, it looks so cool. And then actually just a little bit before I finished putting everything together, she sent me this one, which I'm guessing is her final, because she's got it on her an accent table or something. But and that looks really cool too. I like how it's like trimmed down. It's not super high tall, but I still think it looks really good. So anyway, it worked out so that I got these before I finalized this video. So with this, the Triclops Skull Planter commission is completed. Until next time.